Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, October 25th, 2015. Poetic Justice? Very, very interesting week, especially at the tail end of the week. I loved it. I loved everything about the trial. It was amazing. I mean, I feel like we all really got everything aired out. I feel like everyone got to say everything that needed to be said during the trial. Both arguments for and against Adam's guilt were presented, so I feel like it was a very balanced conversation about what had happened. It was naturally intense on both sides, and I loved every minute of it. I kept going back and forth. I would be a terrible juror because I kept going, well, yeah, I mean, he did commit a crime, and then I'm like, yeah, but I understand what he was feeling at the time. It was so relatable every step along the way. And I've said many times that I'm not a fan of trials, but this one, it was just coming. It was just time. Its time had come, and not only that, but I mean, it was well done. Trials back in the day, back in the 90s when I was first starting to watch, there were a lot of trials, and they would stretch on for weeks at a time. I mean, you would be stuck in a courtroom every single day of the show for weeks. This one was over in 3-4 days tops. It was riveting from beginning to end. I loved seeing Christine back in action. I mean, when was the last time we really got treated to seeing Laura Lee Bell as Christine standing up in front of a jury with her all of her conviction of all of who she is, just putting it into this trial, trying to convince that someone was either guilty or innocent. Back in the day, Christine used to be part of Legal Aid. She was a defender. She was constantly trying to defend people that she felt were innocent, and then it switched around at some point and she became this vicious prosecutor. And it's just always so nice to see her actually doing her job. It has to have been a decade since we've actually seen Christine in trial and not just in a bail hearing in a little quickie capacity until somebody gets their bail hearing and we find the real criminal. So it's nice to see that, and I loved seeing Christine versus Michael. Two very important, very powerful characters going head to head, both very talented attorneys too, and seeing the different styles and approach in the delivery, in the writing, everything. I just normally cannot even stand that kind of thing, but I appreciated seeing those two going head to head, laying out the argument on both sides. It was so hard for me to come to any kind of real decision about how I feel about Adam, because I feel it all. I feel all of the characters and all of the rage and all of the empathy and all of the regret and all of the many emotions that were present in that room. I'm feeling them all. Chelsea's testimony was particularly compelling to me, as she has just spent this incredible night with Adam. They had this one last night together scene that was just it was all of the emotions. It was passionate and romantic, but also tainted as well. And as she's sitting on the stand remembering probably everything that they've been through, I could see that Chelsea was torn between her love for Adam and her love for her family and her son, and her absolute guilt over Delia's death and what role she played in it, and what her child took as a result of Delia's death with the organ donation. It was just so incredible. It was also incredible to see Adam take the stand in his defense. It was completely against Michael's advice. Adam made his own choice to testify and to tell the story of what happened that night in his own words. Christine was like, sure, let him testify. This will be like Christmas in October for me, because it was almost like he was having enough rope to hang himself. Adam sat there on the stand and he recounted all of the dirty details about what happened, right down to the burning of Delia's scarf. Oh, I mean, it might take a big sword and just jab it right through my gut. It was so heart-wrenching, and he acknowledged it all. He said, yes, it was wrong. This is what happened, and he didn't really offer much by the way of excuse. It was really Christine laying out all of the horrible things he did, and Adam just saying, yes, 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 I did it. And Justin Hartley was so good. I mean, just excellent, excellent, excellent from Justin Hartley. He was choosing every word. You could really see that every word that came out was careful and it needed to be intentional. And I connected with every little word that came out of his mouth during that scene. I even connected with him even in the silence, even in those spaces between questions where you could see him thinking and trying to decide how he could respond appropriately. There was just so much said. It was so highly emotionally charged, and Billy was outbursting into the middle of it, saying, I lost my daughter. And Adam, how could he respond? What could he say except, I'm sorry? And there is this just beautiful and, for me, long-awaited moment where Adam just looks at Billy and says, I am so sorry. And I thought to myself, is that the first time that Adam has ever said that? Because it seems like the rivalry between Billy and Adam has erupted into flames since the moment that Adam revealed that he was the driver, and it was so much tension between them. I don't really remember Adam ever saying straight up to Billy, I'm sorry. And maybe it's something that did happen before the recast, as both Billy and Adam have been recast since that night of the shooting and the car wreck. But since Adam came back into town with his new face, I don't recall him ever just saying that he was sorry to Billy. Of course, the identity was just revealed 2 weeks ago, but I think that was a moment that needed to happen. And I will also have to admit, I feel like every time I have any kind of criticism of Adam, I have to preface it by saying I am an Adam fan, because the Adam fans are so intensely rabid about loving him. But if I was looking at this from an outside perspective, if this was reality, it is a little suspicious to me that Adam would say he was sorry with such sincerity only when he's on the stand in front of jurors. Why did it take being in front of 12 jurors and a judge and a courtroom full of everybody for Adam to just say, I'm sorry? Unless I missed it. Maybe I missed it in the fight scene. I'm not sure. But I don't know. I just think that I would be nothing but sorry. I just think of myself and how I would handle that situation, and I know that my guilt would be so written all over my face. My guilt would be present in every single word that I ever said again to Billy. So I don't know if it was just me missing something, but that moment of the apology was so meaningful to me, and I don't know. I think it was somewhat meaningful to Billy too. The other thing about, I guess I have to look at this situation from the perspective of, I like the character of Adam. I am aware that I am watching a show that is not reality. This is a drama. Things have to unfold in order to give us drama. But if it were reality, there are so many things about this trial that I think I would not be on Adam's side. For one thing, Michael comes in the second day of the trial and suggests to Adam that maybe he should cop a plea before Billy's testimony, before the prosecution gets a chance to go at him. And I thought to myself, yeah, why not plead guilty, Adam? Why was Adam pleading not guilty in the first place? If he felt guilty, if he felt sorry, why did he not plead guilty? And I guess it's all under this umbrella of he wants to save his family. He wants to be with his son. He wanted to try to do anything he could do to try to make sure that he had a chance to be out and with Chelsea and Connor. But at the same time, couldn't he have just pled, it would be far less drama, but couldn't he have just pled guilty to a lesser charge and maybe gotten a few years in prison? Maybe if he would have taken that approach from the beginning, perhaps Christine would have accepted it rather than going to trial and airing all of this out. I don't know. You guys are, I'm sure, going to be furiously coming at me with defense for Adam, so I await your response on that. There is this also very pivotal moment in the story before the prosecution gets a chance to present their case. Billy is getting ready to testify on this morning. He runs into Chelsea and Connor playing in the park, and they begin to argue about Adam. And their argument begins to kind of consume them both, and they lose focus of what's going on, and Connor slips away. He kind of toddles away off to the lake. They both freak out, wonder where he could be. It's only a couple scenes later they find him, but Billy has this realization of something bad could have just happened to Connor, and it could have been the exact same situation that happened to Delia. And once again, Billy is left with the reality of his own guilt and how, as a parent, you could take your eye off of your child for just a moment and something like this happens. And so when it comes time for Billy to give his testimony, it was not the hateful, resentful, revenge-seeking attitude that we possibly would have expected from Billy. First of all, it was so well written. It was so well delivered. I love the new Billy. I think he's just wonderful. I was connecting with him in that moment, and especially as he decides to talk through his emotions on stand and admits, this is really my fault. It's my fault that Delia is dead. And Christine tries to stop him, but he says, no, I want to say this. This is my fault. And even Adam stands up and says, it's not your fault. It was odd that it was Adam that became overwhelmed by that notion, that it was not, that Billy was sitting there blaming himself and it wasn't his fault, as opposed to it being Victoria or one of Billy's support systems. It was Adam that stood up and said, it's not your fault. It was a really special and surprising moment between the two guys. I really think it was geared by Y&R to give us sympathy toward Adam, though. I mean, it's obvious that Y&R wants probably at least to convert some of the viewers over into forgiving Adam so that we can all move on with this, or that, so that we at least have some chance of moving on with it. But Billy just looks at Adam and said, yes, it is my fault, and I have spent all of this time blaming you so that I didn't have to blame myself. And hating you didn't make me feel any better. So I'm at a crossroads now where I need to learn to forgive Adam. I need to forgive him, and we need to forgive him. And it's such a to err is human, to forgive is divine sort of moment, because practicing forgiveness when someone has done something not only to hurt you but to harm you and to take something from you, whether it be intentional or not, and specifically something as precious as a child, coming around to forgiveness is not an easy task. It is far more human, I think, to want that revenge. So even though Billy is admitting his culpability, and I agree that Billy is culpable for Delia's death, at the same time I also understand why he had a hard time getting there. But at the same time, I don't think that really, and I didn't think at the time that how could this possibly have any bearing on the verdict? Because emotions and forgiveness are not the business of the law. So as the jury came back, I was thinking, how could they not find him guilty? Everything in me thought, Adam is going to get off. He is going to go free. There is no way he's going to be convicted. That's not how it works in soap operas. And then sure enough, they bring back the verdict and he's guilty of felony hit and run resulting in the death of the child. And I am not going to lie. Again, if this were reality, the jury made the right decision. I am sorry, as much as I like Adam, 10 years for what he did to not hit Delia. Please understand that I need to make that distinction. It's not that he hit Delia on purpose and ran her down and then ran off into the night to cover it up. But he did cover it up when he found out. And there were a series of crimes that were committed. I don't want to see Adam go to jail. I didn't want to see that outcome for him. But again, if it were reality, you cannot tell me that you don't think that was a fair 10 years? 10-year sentence, that was a fair outcome. Think about this being your community, and there's someone in your community that you don't know, or maybe you do know him, maybe you've met him, maybe it's who knows, maybe it's a family member, I don't know. But if you take yourself out of the world of soap opera, 10 years for what he did is a fairly reasonable sentence. But I was still surprised that it happened. For the purposes of the show, I was surprised that he would actually get convicted. And then they did these impact statements. Well, actually, before he got the sentencing, he got the impact statements. Everyone gets a chance to say their piece and say what they want to say to change or influence the judge as to how much time Adam gets. And Billy leaves. Billy said, he kind of, I think in his mind is thinking, all right, Adam is guilty. It's over. Everything else is out of my hands. I've said what I've needed to say. And without Chloe there was no parent to speak on Delia's behalf, whether it be pro or con leniency for Adam. So Kevin is the one who ends up stepping up, and I loved it. I loved Kevin because somebody needed to say what Kevin said. And he sat on the stand and he said, I was Delia's stepfather and now she's gone. Let's take a look at what this man actually did. And I just, he said too, Adam is asking for compassion when it comes to his sentencing, but he showed none toward us as we were wondering why this happened to Delia, how this happened. And I just thought Greg Ricart was so good at representing the fury that had left Billy. And it's almost as if Kevin had picked up that baton and ran with it. And the way Y&R balanced out the what do they call them? Impact statements again was very good, because we had Kevin's fury then balanced with Jack saying that I believe giving a lenient sentence to Adam would be a way to honor Delia's memory, because she wouldn't want to have him receive the maximum sentence. And then we also had Victor speaking on Adam's behalf too. And Victor said something that I think was really dead on. Victor was kind of trying to explain Adam's frame of mind after the accident and after he knew what happened to Delia. And Victor characterized it as everything Adam did after the accident was a result of fear. And I think that's a very, very correct and powerful way to look at it. I never got the impression that Adam was trying to do something malicious ever through any of this. But explaining it through the frame of fear makes complete and total sense to me. That he was afraid he was going to lose his family. He was afraid Connor wouldn't receive the organ donation. He was afraid that he was going to go to jail and never see his son again. It was all fear motivated, and that's something that's very identifiable to me, at least. I can understand, I think most people do kind of make decisions based on, fear as a root cause of some of maybe the more less desirable decisions that we end up making. But I'll tell you what really got me, I was teary through most of this, but the impact statement, this is a big shocker. I wasn't expecting it. The impact statement that really, really got me was Esther. I'm not an Esther fan. For all of these years, I've always thought Esther could poof off into the mist and I wouldn't care at all. But when Esther sat there on the stand talking about that scarf, I lost it. It's such a simple little thing. And that's what she chose to focus on. It's a simple little item, a scarf. And knowing that Adam burned it, oh my gosh, that was such, it was hard to watch it when it happened. It was hard to relive it. And it was hard to think about the weight of what he was doing with such a minor action. She said, you burned the scarf as if it was nothing, as if she was nothing. I don't think that's how Adam felt. I don't think he did it lightly, but he did it. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. I enjoyed Chelsea sitting on the stand begging for mercy for her son. Chelsea really did a 180, right? Because she went from supporting Adam to turning him in to now, and it took a while for Michael and Adam to convince her to speak on Adam's behalf at the trial, but now it's kind of changed and she is begging for mercy for Adam or for a lighter sentence. So her transition through this has been kind of interesting to watch too. And she stood there by him. She sat behind him in the trial, she gave him a little hug and told him to stay strong. And he's a good man. You're a good man, Adam Newman. You're a good person. You're not a criminal. It's just so odd to me how much her attitude has changed. But I think it also demonstrates how very torn that she is. Adam gave a statement of his own. He followed up Chelsea's statement and said, I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm guilty of this crime. I don't know why you didn't plead guilty in the first place then. If you're not guilty, you seem to acknowledge that you're guilty, yet you plead not guilty. That doesn't seem consistent to me. Sorry for criticizing, but it's true. He stands up and he says, I'm guilty of this. I deserve whatever punishment you're gonna give me, but don't punish my son. Don't punish my family. He also said this thing, this just bugs me. This is just me being an old YNR fan, but there's this argument that Adam keeps giving that I never had love growing up, and so I don't want my son to grow up like that. But I'm sorry, just can't help it. Side note, not true. Not true. Adam had a completely loving mother, a totally happy childhood. He had a stepfather who was doting upon him. I mean, it wasn't, I think that the stepfather maybe died in Adam's maybe early teens, or yes, he was maybe kind of a young man, maybe pre-teen, I think, when the stepfather died. But the notion that Adam was never loved is not true. Adam has father issues. and I could talk about, maybe I will talk about it a little bit later, but there was this incredibly powerful scene early in the week between Adam and Victor where Victor said to Adam, you think you've got a bad father? My father couldn't have cared less about me. My mother left me on a doorstep in an orphanage in the winter. And I know that we've heard Victor talk about being left in an orphanage a jillion different times, but you think about that for a minute. You think about how you would feel if your mother left you at an orphanage on a doorstep in the winter, and never checked back on you, never had any contact with your father. You think about what kind of person that would make you, and then you look at Adam's life and try to tell me that he's got it bad. Sorry again. Sorry. Sorry for the truth, but that's how I feel. And I think Victor was still able to come to Adam's defense and say, don't put my son through this, don't do this. And there was also this question at the beginning of the trial as to whether Victor was offering Adam to get out of town. Victor offered Adam maybe he should just leave town as opposed to standing trial. And there was a question of whether or not Victor did that for nefarious means, that maybe he was setting Adam up to take a fall or walk into that trap and then really get snagged and thrown into jail forever. I don't think that was the case at all. Subsequent conversations showed, I think, that Victor actually cared about his son, didn't want his son to go to jail, and I like that. I want to see that. I don't want to think that Victor's choosing to, I want to believe that I want to believe that Victor loves his children at the end of the day. Anyway, I feel like Adam got his 10-year sentence. I'm sure the crowd was aghast. I'm sure that all of the Adam fans were horrified. But I'm sorry. In reality, actions have consequences. And if it were reality, 10 years for what he did was very reasonable and lenient. The judge didn't give Adam the maximum sentence. He took into account Billy's testimony. He took into account all of Adam's supporters' testimony, and what he came back with was, I think, a pretty reasonable sentence. So I guess in some ways I kind of feel like, well, if it had ended there and if it was reality, it would have been an okay outcome. What do you guys think? I mean, it's probably going to be one of those things where half of you are going to feel one way, half of you are going to feel the other way. Oh, man. I'm ready to forgive. I'm ready to forgive Adam. I definitely am. But forgiveness and sentencing for a crime are two different things. Billy, after he leaves the trial, goes to the park to remember Delia, be near her tree, and Billy and Victoria have this just spectacular conversation about forgiveness. And it's odd because at the time, I felt like Victoria was needling Billy. He came to Adam's defense, or he at least forgave Adam publicly at a very key moment. He chose not to give a statement. By all looks from the outside, Billy had forgiven Adam. And yet, as Billy's standing there telling Delia that now they can close the chapter on this book, she can finally rest in peace, Victoria's looking at him and she's looking skeptical. And she begins to push on him and say, "Why are you lying to Delia?" And I thought, why are you doing this, Victoria? This has been a hard day for the man. He just said he forgave Adam. Give him a moment. And she kept pushing him until he got to this point of realizing that he may have forgiven Adam, but he hasn't forgiven himself. And wow, I don't know how you would begin to forgive yourself, but it ended on a note of that he was working on it. And there was this, we saw Delia's ghost come back. So cute. I felt like, I don't know, the way I read that scene was that it was coming full circle, that Billy was working on it, that it's not something that's just going to go away, that he's always going to have this regret, but that he's going to try to forgive himself too. And then, after the big trial, Adam's being transported from the jail from the courthouse to a paddy wagon. He walks through the crosswalk and he gets mowed down by a car in front of the old rug store where Christine got mowed down a few months ago. And this time, Nikki was definitely in the crowd. She was not in a car. She was presumably not drunk. So I'm assuming Nikki did not run over Adam in front of the old rug store the way she did Christine. But someone did, and immediately, I don't know if it was from the preview or if it was at the end of Friday's show, but everyone is asking who did this, and somebody said Billy, and I'm a little shocked because I really don't think it was Billy. Maybe I misread it, or maybe you guys have different opinions on that. But I'm thinking to myself, I mean, who could it have been? And I just don't, I have to ask myself, who's not accounted for here? So, that's our poll question for this week. Who hit Adam? There are a myriad of possibilities. For crying out loud, it could have been anyone. YRChat.com is where you can cast your vote, where you can officially tell me who you think hit Adam. Was it Billy? Could it have been Chloe? She was not accounted for. She was mysteriously not there at the trial when you would have thought that she would have been. Could it have been Kevin? Kevin was all of a sudden very vicious and wanting revenge and commenting after the sentencing that it was light, that it wasn't enough. And in fact, Mariah ushered Kevin and Esther out of the courtroom. They were not in the crowd, I don't think, as Adam was being escorted. So certainly it's possible that one of them did it. So who do you think did it? I mean, for crying out loud at this point, maybe it was Detective Harding's twin brother. Lily did kind of make a mistake in going to the police of chiefs, the chief of police's son with that big old bag of money that she found in Kane's gym bag, because of course Dylan was going to go right to Paul, and of course Kane gets arrested and charged with extortion. It comes to light that there was some deal at Fenmore's that cost Lauren millions of dollars, and then at the same time, Kane gets caught with this gym bag, making it look like he was trying to steal money from Devon to cover up whatever happened at Fenmore's. Everyone's suspicious of him, and I don't get it. I don't even get why Lily would be suspicious of him. I mean, I understand why she would question him. And I guess of all of the people, I appreciate the way Lily's handling it, because at least she's saying, let me give Kane a chance to explain. What I really don't get, I guess, is why Devon doesn't believe him at all. Devon now thinks that Kane did this. He's the kidnapper. Kane's everything. Kane, Pretty Little Bo, Kane did it. Why won't he tell me where Hillary is? It's so annoying. You don't notice Neil's suspicious behavior right under your nose, but you think Kane, the person who's been helping you, the person who's lied for you, covered up your relationship with Hillary? Kane has helped Devon this entire time, and Devon has completely jumped onto the train that says Kane's guilty, and I'm just gonna ride that all the way to the trial. It doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody's setting Joe up, or excuse me, Freudian. Somebody's setting Kane up, and Joe is now conveniently back in the picture, which Daisy, YNR Cheddar, totally predicted that last week. Such a totally genius pickup. I never would have picked that up. But I also think, I almost wonder, like, gosh, Joe's looking so guilty that I wonder if it's possible that it's someone else. But then again, I remember Nathan on YouTube leaving a couple comments saying that like 4 characters are gonna die in November sweeps, and I'm wondering if maybe they are gonna pin it on Joe and then like blow him up or something. I don't know. I don't want Joe to go away. I kind of like Joe. I kind of like, by the way, the way he is sort of not letting anybody tell him what to do, because he was asking questions of Dylan about what's going on with Kane, and it makes him look suspicious, makes him look like, well, he's wanting to see if his handiwork is working out. And then sometimes Dylan's attitude just bugs me, and there's just this moment where Joe is standing up to Dylan, and he said something like, let me get something clear for you, Dylan. You don't get to tell me what to do. And I just felt like, yeah, you tell him, Joe, because sometimes Dylan ticks me off. Sometimes Dylan's so holier than thou and Mr. Right, and sometimes I just want Dylan to do something wrong. Of course, I guess we've already been through that, but I don't know. There was just something, Dylan's just like Mr. High and Mighty sometimes, and I liked that he was standing up to him. So I'm hoping that Joe doesn't die in an explosion next month. But I guess more than all of that. I love Kane right now. I'm loving Kane right now. I feel like Daniel Goddard is, how do I say his name? Goddard? I'm going to go with Goddard. Oh, that seems to work. Sounds good. Daniel Goddard. I feel like he's giving it his all. I mean, every scene, he is just adamantly insisting that he is innocent. And he's gotten in a couple of almost fights, and I keep looking for what's the fight where Daniel Goddard actually breaks his arm. He has some kind of broken bone, or he hurt himself really bad in a fight scene. So I keep looking for that. Like, where's the moment where that's going to happen? But he's just giving it his all. You can tell that he is trying and just insisting with every fiber of his being that he is innocent, and it feels like nobody's believing him. Well, I believe you, Kane. I believe you. Come here to Allie. I'll make it all better. I like Marissa and I like Noah, but this tangent that the storyline has gone on to, I don't like. I think it's making them look really bad. Marissa living with Luca is completely unnecessary to them finding their child. It makes absolutely no sense. There's no reason that she has to go back and live with Luca and like force herself to be in a relationship with him, and then in a month he'll tell her where the kid is. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's weird writing or something. I mean, YNR, you've missed the mark on this. I can't get on board because I can't get on board with any of this really, because the initial leap of faith that you're asking of me makes no sense. I can't quite suspend my disbelief because it makes no sense. Plus, what's so wrong with Luca anyway? Wake me up with roses and pearls. Okay, thank you. I mean, so far, Luca's not that bad. I mean, she loved him at one point. She married him. So, let me help you with this situation, Marissa. Listen, here, Allie's going to help figure out your life. This is what you do. You just go back with Luca. You just stay married to Luca. You take the pearls, you take the roses, you take the diamonds, you take the beautiful dresses. You go back, you play nicey nice with him, and then you just have your little affairs on the side. Just stay married to him, then cheat on him if you want to, for crying out loud. Marissa can find another Noah. You can find some poor, dumb, young boy who will be tranced by your sexual power, okay? Problem solved. You can go get your child and live. Make sure the child's fine. There's no problem here. And I will also mention that Noah needing to go to Grandpa to get help to find Marissa's child. Grandpa, help me. Just shows that he's completely in over his head. He's no match for Luca. He's no match for Victor. For nothing. I mean, he's a little boy trapped in this thing that is so far over his head. I mean, Noah goes to Kevin for help because, you know, hacking can, if you can hack, you can, like, solve anything, except just total tangenty side note. Hey, Kevin, you can hack any camera in Genoa City. Surely there's a camera outside of the courtroom. Surely there are police cruisers all over the place with dash cams. You can't tell me that there's not a video out there that's gonna show me who hit Adam. So how about you put your hacking skills to use and find out who hit Adam? If all the cameras are all of a sudden out, we know it was Kevin, right? But anyway, Noah goes to Kevin to ask for his hacking help, and Kevin goes, you know, I kind of agree with Victor, because Victor laid down some truth on Noah that needed to be said. Boy, you're out of your league. She's lying to you. She's lied to you multiple times. You're getting sucked in. I've seen women like this before. And even though I like Marissa and I don't necessarily think that she's got bad motives, she should be like, I don't want to drag Noah into this. It's too much. If she loves Noah, she should be trying to keep her distance from him, frankly. Because, I don't know, she's trouble. Whether she wants to or not, she's a woman who, like, gets involved with drug lords. She's being played off as all kind of innocent and reformed, but who gets involved with a drug lord and lets them sell her child? Sorry, but Marissa's trouble. You probably should stay away from her, Noah. I mean, the whole thing is making Noah look like a simpish little boy. Well, I mean, Noah gets all insecure about the fact that she's living with Luca and he's giving her gifts and they're laughing. And I mean, they were married. They're laughing and having memories. They have a child together. And they're married. And Noah gets all insecure. So Marissa's solution to all of this is to just have sex with him again, because that'll shut him up and reassure him for like another few days. Man, Marissa don't look too good. I mean, did you notice, by the way, that she had sex with Noah wearing the necklace that Luca just gave her? Oh, Sharon. That scene where Sharon is looking in the mirror and from her perspective, she sees a big old pregnant belly, and then we see the reality shot and it's flat as a board. Oh man, Sharon's messed up. The doctors cut Sharon on so many drugs. She's hallucinating. Oh man, it's so sad. Leave it to Patty to be the voice of reason. Patty's the only one that's going, you don't look pregnant at all. Like, at all. Poor Patty. She's trying to maybe gently push Sharon in the direction of thinking something's not right with this doctor. And I even appreciated the way Patty said, I've been around a lot of doctors and some of them are good and some of them are bad. And I'm telling you, I got a bad feeling about this doctor. And it got Patty tossed up against a wall. Sharon actually physically pushed Patty up against a wall, which I'm assuming is not really going to result in anything. I don't know. Maybe it'll just get Patty in some more trouble because that doctor is just on top of Sharon. She is looming. So I'm assuming, oh, and we saw a scene where the doctor makes a phone call to the hospital to check on Sage and the baby, and now the doctor knows that Sage has left the hospital, but the baby's still there. So I'm assuming it's going to be another couple of weeks, and then the baby will get stolen and Sharon will miraculously give birth. The only one that's going to know is Patty. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if because Sage got released from the hospital and was constantly saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to leave my baby, and then all of a sudden the baby gets stolen, I wonder if Sage is going to be so distraught over the fact that her baby's stolen that she'll think maybe Victor did it, maybe she'll go crazy, maybe she'll end up in Fairview next to Sharon, who's just miraculously given birth to her baby. Where there is hope, there is life. That was the Who Said It for last week, and the person who said it on last week's show was Neil. Got a lot of guesses, but only a few people got it right. I love it when I kind of trick you guys. I don't like making it too easy. So let's see. I'm looking at the website here to see who all got it right. Victoria got it right. Let's see. Edith said Neil. Sydney said Neil. Bobby said Neil. So you guys were very astute in watching the show last week. Let's see if you can do it again. The quote for this week was kind of a quick little quip, but I thought I just thought it was a good kind of quote, and I think it'll be another little tricky one for you. So here it is. Money through the door, reason out the window. I kind of true, right? But only one person said it during this week's show. So from Monday through Friday's U.S. shows of Y&R, who said money through the door, reason out the window. If you want to leave your guess, go to yrchat.com. I'll have the quote up there, and then you can just leave your guess in the comments, and if you get it right, I will give you your congratulations on next week's Y&R chat. So, money through the door, reason out the window, who said it? Okay, this is one more weird thing that I don't think I've ever seen this before. But on Wednesday's show, you tell me if you guys saw this. On Wednesday's show, just about through the halfway point, like just after that halfway little, sequence that comes in between, I swear I picked up on an editing error. Kane and Colin were having a conversation in the bar, and it cut away from their visual scene and just went to voiceover, and the visual had Nikki and Victor sitting in the courtroom of Adam's trial. So it cut away from Colin and Kane, and visually we were seeing Nikki and Victor with Kane and Colin's voice over the scene. Then it goes back to Kane and Colin having in their regular conversation. But it was like a non sequitur. It seemed totally unrelated to anything. It wasn't, sometimes they'll do that, but it'll be a way of showing us that storylines are connected. But I didn't sense that. I thought, is this an editing error? I mean, in all of the years of me watching Y&R, I've never seen an editing error. So I am dying to know if you guys noticed it, if it was an error, or if it's not an error. Is there any way that Colin and or Kane are going to be somehow connected to whoever it was, or to Adam's trial, or to who hit Adam? Okay, let's read some comments. Anna left me a voicemail saying, maybe Joe is a red herring. I do think that Kane's being set up, but by who? That's definitely the question. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks it would be obvious if it was Neil. And then there was Kane and Colin were kind of talking, and Colin was insisting that he had nothing to do with it. I mean, usually Colin's got something to do with something. But other than that, if it's not Joe, I can't think of who it would be. I know there's a twist in here somewhere. Let's see. Gary left a voicemail saying, I don't think that the way Kane is acting really addresses his innocence or his guilt, which I think is a very interesting way of saying that, because I immediately am trusting Kane. I am assuming that Kane has nothing to do with any of this. But then Gary kind of made me think, well, you know what? He could possibly be over the top insisting that he didn't do it because he did. I mean, we know something's going to go down with November sweeps, and Kane could very well get caught up in it. I think it was Gary, too, that had mentioned about the courthouse scene, that very last scene we saw on Friday, and how it kind of reminded him of the time that Kane got shot on the court steps. And I don't even remember why Kane was on trial. Maybe it was because of him and his whole identity thing with Philip. I can't remember, but that's an interesting connection. Grenadian Candy on YouTube says, is it just me who finds that Kane is looking different? I was thinking that maybe Caleb did a switcheroo. I never thought he actually died. And that's another thing, because I'm pretty sure it was Caleb who got shot on those courtroom steps. And that's how, and then we found out that everybody thought Kane was dead. But no, then Y&R wanted to bring back Daniel Goddard, and so they made up this story that Kane had a twin, and that's the guy who actually died on the steps, right? So, those are some weird and interesting connections there. Wouldn't it be weird if it was Caleb still all along? I don't know. Oh, Gina called into my voicemail early in the week and said, I am so enjoying the quality of the scenes between Victor and Adam. If you didn't know you were watching the show, you would think that this dynamic is real. And at the end of the day, I think that Adam and Victor should just hug it out. I love that notion, that just hug it out, you two. That'll help. That'll fix it. Maybe they will someday. Maybe they will. I love that, Gina. Let's see. James on Facebook said, what's Christine's conviction record as a DA? I can't remember anyone being convicted under her watch. Me neither. Oh, and the other thing too that Gary had mentioned in his voicemail was that he remembered an interview with Laura Lee Bell several years ago where she was talking about how hard the courtroom scenes were for her and how much she had to study the script to get all of the different legal mumbo jumbo words right. And I think that's so interesting because it was odd almost seeing her doing her opening argument and closing arguments. There was something that seemed maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe she was out of practice, and so my ears perked up when I heard that Laura Lee Bell had mentioned that those are difficult scenes for her. Connor left a voicemail that said, I think every main person in this storyline should have been on the stand during the trial. I wanted to hear what Chloe had to say, what Victoria had to say. The outcome might have been different if, for instance, Chloe would have had her chance to say her piece. And I didn't get a chance to talk about this in full, but why is Chloe not there? How is Chloe gone? I'm shocked that all of a sudden she's not on the scene because I really thought that Chloe was back now. I took it as actress is back. She's like full on back on the show now, and there was nothing to back that up whatsoever, but in my mind Chloe was 100% back, and I guess she's gone, unless she's not gone and she was the driver of the car. Last week's YNR chat poll was, who's the father of Chloe's baby? FYI, 73% of you thought it was Billy, and only 27% of you thought it was Kevin. Does anybody know if Chloe's gonna come back? I want to understand this story. I want to dig into this. Bobby on Facebook says, Amelia Heinel as Victoria is doing such a good job in the park with Billy. The whole forgiving himself thing was heavy, but good stuff. Some real feelings there, true emotions. Bravo, YNR. I could not agree more about Bobby. Bravo, YNR. Bravo, Amelia Heinel. I mean, how amazing was she this week? The other scene that I didn't get a chance to mention was briefly, Victoria and Victor had a scene in the athletic club having breakfast or something, and Victoria was trying to explain to Victor why Adam might feel like he was abandoned, why Adam might have these negative feelings toward Victor that Victor clearly can't understand. And Victoria mentioned her having overheard Victor and Nick's conversation, where as much as she's tried to be the one that's most like Victor and taking pride in that, it feels like somehow Nick is always going to get all the spoils. He's the future of Newman Enterprises, and Victoria feeling like she's watched her brothers come and go through the company, and she's always been the one there that stood and kept the pieces together. And I just loved that scene. I couldn't figure out how to work in where I was talking about it, or I would have mentioned it earlier, but I mean, it made sense. And she had this great line where she said, when I saw that with you and Nick, when I saw you and Nick having that conversation, I got a brief flash of understanding about why Adam might feel the way he feels toward you. The fact that you do have a perception of playing favorites with your children. And the fact that I think Victoria was able to focus for just a minute and identify with Adam and how he feels about his position as a Newman, as in the family, I think helped her have that conversation with Billy about forgiveness, because Victoria has to go through a process of forgiving herself too. And how great did she look in that white and gray plaid suit jacket? Oh my gosh, that outfit was good. She looked good in that. I mean, like, even though I was engrossed in the trial, I kept admiring that beautiful outfit that she was wearing. Just, I can't, if I could give a round of applause to Amelia Heinel this week, and everybody this week, my gosh, it was so good. Daisy on Facebook says, Ian has lots of followers still. So whoever shot Adam, whoops, sorry, I was trying to fill in some blanks. Whoever ran over Adam could be anyone, perhaps even the person who helped get him out of and then back in jail. I don't think we discovered who that was yet. So hitting Adam may have nothing to do with Delia, but everything to do with the Paragon Project. Another really good theory, that it could be Ian or maybe that tech guy or somebody else having to do with Paragon. Also, Daisy says, I hope Michael appeals the sentence. 10 years is a long time, and I don't think Christine won her case. I think the town won its vendetta against Adam. Man, if I could do a quote of the week of who said it. I don't think Christine won her case. I think the town won its vendetta against Adam. So there's one for the Adam fans. You can quote Daisy on that one. Nathan on YouTube says, Michael Goldberg of Serial Scoops reports that a popular daytime star is not planning to renew his or her contract when it comes up for renewal in the next couple of months. I think it could be Justin Hartley, who leaves Y&R to play MacGyver on CBS. If Hartley does leave, who do you think takes the role of Adam, or will the character be put on the back burner? You know, I'm mentioning this again. I mentioned it last week because there's a part of me in the back of my head that is thinking, is there any way that Adam's going to not survive this hit and run? Or is there, you know, is this going to be what possibly does facilitate Justin Hartley off the show? And that is not confirmed, by the way. We don't, as far as I know, we do not know if that's the case. Or, I mean, Justin Hartley could very well still be planning to stay with the show. I have no idea. But it could also, who knows who gets, I mean, there's a part of me that's wondering, I wonder if Kane's gonna go, is Joe gonna go? I think if there are 4 characters that are gonna say bye-bye, we know Colin's probably one of them because of his contract status, but I don't know, it could be any number of people. Aaron on YouTube says, I don't know what show everyone else is watching, but I'm Team Lucas. All he wants is all he wants is his daughter and his wife back. And if he needs to threaten her to get her head on straight, I'm all for it. No one needs to move on and stay out of other people's businesses, especially when those people are married. And I will end on this because this to me is like the comment of the week. I love this. This comes from Vinyl Collectors on YouTube saying, it's interesting. Adam pursues his wife relentlessly, and a lot of viewers think it's sexy. Luca pursues his wife relentlessly, and a lot of viewers think it's slimy. Now here we are for week 2 of the next big Soap for Soap Fans giveaway. So in case you missed last week's Y&R chat, I revealed Genoa City Soap. So I am both a soap fan and a hobbyist cold process soap maker. And to challenge myself, I decided that I wanted to create bars of soap that represent the characters on The Young and the Restless. So I chose 8 characters that I wanted to saponify. So for each character that I chose, I asked myself, what would this character's fragrance be? What would the colors be that would best represent them? What would the texture be like? And all 8 of the soaps are finished. Last week I revealed the first 2, which were Victor and Nikki, and I got a lot of really positive feedback on them. Thank you so much. And this week I'm going to reveal 2 more, and the next following 2 weeks I'm going to reveal 2 more each week until we get to the end and all 8 are revealed, and then we'll do a big giveaway, and if you win, you will get to choose which one you want. Yes, this is gonna be really good, and I can't wait to hear which ones everybody likes at the end of this. That's kind of gonna be the most interesting and fabulous and fun part for me. So right now I'm thinking that November 18th will be the first week of entries for the giveaway, and then I think on the 29th of November I'm going to do the big giveaway. But we're not there yet. I still have to reveal which characters I have chosen. So this week I shall reveal the next couple of Genoa City soaps. The first one is Paul. This is Paul. For the podcast listeners, I will describe. This is a very simple, very clean bar of green cucumber soap. Now I've added some other fragrances in there to make it a little more interesting. It's got some cucumber, it's got some mint. It is a very fresh spa sort of fragrance, and I knew that when I started this Genoa City soap idea that I was going to do a Paul soap. And there's a funny little story about why I chose Paul and why I chose to represent him as a cucumber soap, and I'll tell you in a minute how you can hear that little story. Now, if I was going to do a Paul soap, I had to do a Christine soap too, and this is such a perfect week to reveal the Christine soap. Here she is. She is, and I started actually with a green apple base fragrance for the All-American Cricket. This bar is actually called Cricket, and I have blended in some lavender and gosh, what else did I put in there? Lavender and green apple and herbs, like a sage, kind of a green. This is probably one of the favorite fragrances that I have blended together in this whole Y&R series probably ever. In fact, I just cracked this one open in the shower about 2 or 3 days ago, and it's heavenly. It smells so good. And there's lots of reasons also why I chose to do Christine, and it's what a good week for revealing Paul and Christine, because they were pretty well up front this week. So, Paul and Christine, the next Genoa City soaps. Now, if you would like to hear the story about why I chose Paul, why I chose Christine, why I chose the fragrances that I did, the colors, all of that, I created a new YouTube channel. It's called Genoa City Soap, and you can see the making of these two soaps as well as me talking about my inspiration behind them. There are 4 new videos up this week, and you can watch those, and you can actually even see the soaps before the Sunday Y&R chat if you subscribe to that channel. So if you are watching the video, I will put a link to the Genoa City Soap channel on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, just go to yrchat.com, and I will put photos of both of these soaps up on the site and more information about where you can see the videos, and you can also follow on Facebook and Twitter, and I have been kind of updating my progress, and I think that you guys should hopefully enjoy it. Hopefully you would love these, and hopefully you'd love to have them. They're both very fresh and clean scents, and they go really well together. I love them. I think you're going to love them too. And next week, I will reveal the next big reveal, the next 2 soaps in the series. So definitely come back next week and check that out. And if you want to know beforehand, you can just subscribe to Genoa City Soap on YouTube. I think this is going to be really fun, and I think that you're going to love them. Okay, you guys, that does it for me for this week. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I know I don't even have to ask you to give me your comments because I know you're going to give them to me anyway. You can go to yrchat.com. You can leave comments there. You can vote in the poll. Let me know who you think hit Adam. You can guess the Who Said It game. You can leave comments on the blog to let me know what you thought about the show. You can find the Facebook and Twitter links from there if you'd prefer to comment on social networking. You can find the YouTube channel if you aren't already watching the video on YouTube, which you probably most likely are. You can leave a comment on YouTube. You can call into the voicemail at 309-588-4569. There's a million different ways that you can leave me comments, and I know that you will. So everybody have a good week, and we'll come back next week and we'll see where we are then. Good Lord, who knows? Bye.